What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to the channel. So I am back with another video for you guys. Now, listen, you guys were telling me about this interview with Marlon Wayans and Julia Fox and Tyreek Withers, and I just went and watched the interview. And I want to give my thoughts on it because people were saying she was hella rude. She was out of line. And I want to give my thoughts and give my take on what I think about what she was doing based off of what he was saying. Listen, we're going to hop right into it. Make sure you chime in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Here we go.
I think the youth needs to hear what real men are. I think there's there's masculinity.
But what are real men?
Right. To me, a real man is a responsible man.
Because every time a man does some fuck shit, they'll be like, that's not a real man. And it's like, looks like a man to me.
I think a real man is in touch with his feminine
looks like a duck
side,
and it walks like a duck. I mean?
Yeah. Right away, look, it didn't even, this is a short clip. Right away, it didn't take me long to see that she was being rude, interrupting him. That's what she did. While she's asking what is a real man, he's attempting to explain it, and she's still rudely interrupting him. So that was straight rude off the rip. You don't even have to get too far into the video to see that she's being rude. So if that's what people are saying, she's rude, certainly, for sure, she's definitely being rude and interrupting him while he's trying to answer. You know, you find women who do this. They'll ask a question, and then when you get ready to respond, to answer it, they still talking. Like, that is hella rude. And yeah, for sure, so far. Let's continue, though.
Real man is knows how to unstrap from his ego.
I don't know. I think the real man thing is just a thing like that people invented to like excuse bad behavior. You know?
Yeah,
like all men are real men.
Said like a real man.
Period.
Yeah,
Say how it is.
I think,
Yeah, and I think he's joking about it because he's a comedian. Saying like a real man. He's calm about it, but he's definitely kind of putting her in a place by saying basically stating, you're a woman. You don't really know what a man is. You have no clue as to what it is to be a man because you're not a man. And oftentimes we have women who like to say what a real man is, or like to think they know or explain what a real man is when you're not a man. There's no way you could possibly know what a man is versus let alone a real man. And we really couldn't really hear what he had to say because she kept cutting him off. She cut him off a few times, so we really don't know what his take was on it. But somehow women seem to have all the answers to know what a man is, what a real man is. And you hear a lot of women who actually try to explain what a real man does. And what I've noticed when they do explain it, a real man does everything that they want him to do. How neat is that? And how, why is it that every time women explain what a real man is, it's a man who will cater to them, cater to their needs, and do everything that they think he should be doing. And a man that's not a real man is the one who goes against whatever it is they're telling him he should be doing, as opposed to just accepting a man for who he is and his nature, just like you want a man to accept you for who you are and in your nature. But we all know that it's a one-sided deal. It doesn't matter who you are. This is Marlon Wayans, who is super accomplished, has done well for himself, but he still gets disrespected. This is why I say it does not matter how accomplished you are, how much money you make. Women will still find a way to disrespect you. This is what this is showcasing. No matter who you are, you still get disrespected, especially as a black man. No matter how successful you become as a black man, you still get disrespected by women. And some people might be like, oh, this is not a big deal, but it is, because it just shows you the level of disrespect that women have for black men. He couldn't even get his answer the question without her butting in and disrespecting him, and just no regard whatsoever. And we see this way too much. Far too often, we see women who do this exact same thing, and nobody says anything. Nobody bats an eye. There's no pushback. It's just, oh, it is what it is. Women can just do what they want. But let it have been him. Switch it around. If this was a man who was interrupting a woman and not letting her say anything, not letting her speak, and get her point across, Oh, you will hear all kind of women coming out the woodwork saying, why is he interrupting her? Why is he disrespecting her? Why is he doing this? This is what men do. A real man wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? They can determine what a real man is, justify what a man ain't, what he is, and everything else. But when a man tries an attempt to say what a real man is, he gets interrupted and disrespected. But this is the nature of how women are used to moving without any pushback, without anybody ever correcting them or telling them that they're out of line. And then men have to accept that. You have to sit there and just let women be rude and disrespectful and interrupt you, and you just got to take it. He kind of joked about it, but he couldn't say, hold on, let me finish, because then, oh my God. That was rude. So you could call out a man if you think he's rude, but he can't call you out if he thinks you're rude, even when you are actually rude. You know what I'm saying? Baby, let's continue.
I think being like, to further add on what she's saying, I think there's this false narrative of what real men do. And I think it's tied into, privilege and masculinity. And I think exploring that in films is important because, we're raising these young boys to be men, and we can go that extra step to educate boys. And on that journey of how to, tap into the femininity, the vulnerability. That way we can further protect women.
So, I mean, that's his perspective, regardless to what your perspective is or what you think a man is, I think that's something that men should have the freedoms to be able to discuss, right? Because it's about men. If anyone should explain what a man is and what they believe a real man is, should be men. Just like women try to tell men stay out of women's business and that a man cannot have an opinion about women because he's not a woman. Well, if y'all really are, if you're gonna stand on that and that's what you believe, then you should have the same energy to say that as a woman, you have no place in a man's conversation, that you don't know what it is to be a man. You have not walked in a man's shoes. You don't know what a man is, let alone a real man. So leave that conversation to the men who actually experience that on a daily basis, because there's a difference between both women and men. And then the idea that she said, it's an excuse of what a real man is. Every time a man is doing some F stuff, then now they want to say, oh, that's not a real man, but it's basically all the same. The same way women, try to justify their actions, when they do some messed up stuff, there's always a justification for what they're doing, and you want people to feel sorry and empathize with your plight. And you don't ever want anybody to say or question what a real woman is, because now you would take that as disrespect. You would take that as a disrespectful thing, that you're questioning what a real woman is when you are not a woman. So, the same things that women, talk about or talk against for men is the exact same things that they do towards men. The things y'all look at as disrespect, or things that you look at as something that's disrespectful coming from a man, is the very same things you do towards men. So you want a certain level of respect and all of this stuff, but you're not willing to give it. And once again, people might be like, "Oh, this was something simple," but yeah, these simple things turn into much bigger issues. It's shown as to how women view men, how they have little respect for men, how a lot of women just have this disdain for men, how they don't look at men as, as especially black men as a group of men to be respected, or looked at in a higher regard. They look down on men. You don't really care about them in a sense as of what their thoughts are or what they have to say, their opinions or anything. You just disregard them on every level. But you want them to have the highest amount of respect and love and everything, admiration and all of these things. You want them to show their feminine side when you need it. You want them to do all of these things for you, but you have no regard for them in any which way possible. And yeah, this was an interview, and she just kept interrupting him, and nobody stopped and said anything. And that was hella rude. But once again, had he did that to her, everybody would have something to say. So I think we're perpetuating this idea that women could say and do whatever they want, and men just have to sit back and take it and not say a word. And I think that's a major problem. And it's something that's been happening for years and years and years. And so this is why you have women who push back against men who have an opinion, men who have standards, men who speak up for themselves, because they are not used to that. Y'all are used to men just sitting back, taking whatever y'all dish out, and nobody says a word, bats an eye, or anything. But I think that's something that definitely has to change, because women have to understand that you can't just sit back and disrespect men and think that men's supposed to always give you this highest level of respect when you're not giving it yourself. You're going to have to understand that, listen, what you give out is what you're going to get back. And even though we have a group of men who still are under this idea that they have to, like, you know, put women in the highest regard and not say anything, it's partly why a lot of this is still being perpetuated, because men don't want to, you know, get in the way of women, or they don't want to be looked at as a person who disrespects women, or they don't want to be looked at in a negative light. So they just continue to, you know, coddle women and make them feel comfortable even when women are disrespecting them. So yeah, I'm glad y'all brought this to my attention, because I had not seen this interview, but I thought she was hella rude. She was out of line, out of place. And I think women like this need to be put in their place. You should understand how to let a person, you can't ask a question and then not allow a person to answer. In the midst of them answering a question, you shouldn't be interrupting them. You need to understand how to be quiet, stay in your place, let him finish his answer, and then you can chime in. But they don't care. And I think also, because I saw River talking about it too on River TV. She mentioned how when the other guy started talking, she was quiet. And I had to think about that, and she was. She didn't say anything when the other guy started talking. But I think women think that they could do this with certain people, and they feel more comfortable doing this with certain individuals, and they just, you know, comfortable with being disrespectful and getting away with it. Because nobody else is going to say anything. It's just acceptable. Oh, well, women have the freedom to say what they want and do what they want. And men, y'all have to censor yourselves. You have to censor yourself. You got to watch what you say. You got to make sure you're not offending the women. You got to do all these things and tiptoe around women, while women could just say exactly what's on their mind, whether it's disrespectful or not. And it's all acceptable. That is unacceptable. I don't care how you try to push it, how you try to swing it. That is unacceptable on every level. Yeah, she was definitely rude. Just rude. Interrupting him. No, that's not the way you do it. And you could see it on his face that he noticed it, but there was nothing he could really do about it. Because if he said something, people would be calling him rude and calling him out of line, and you would see all kind of posts about it. But because he had to contain himself and make a joke of it and leave it that way. And men always have to be the ones to stand down and consider the women when women don't consider them. So listen, y'all, let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Comment, like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to be notified when I upload new content. Let me know what you think of this video in the comment section, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.